There's the dirty white boy. Dirty white boy. Hello. I'm gonna try to talk about sin today as best I can. Turn this on. Oh, look. There it goes. In the best way that I can talk about it. I'm very fluent in it because I've done most of them in my lifetime. Well, I can't say that, I guess. I've done a lot. All the minor ones. Anyway. So, people get bogged down in it a lot of times. First thing that every Christian, and I think any humanist, anybody, even if you're Muslims, whatever, doesn't matter your religion, Jewish, Hebrew, whatever, you know that we're all sinners. You know that our Creator expects us to sin. Once we're saved as Christians, and in most religions, we're expected to do better. Our challenge on earth is to see if we can overcome sin. And now, a lot of sin, most of us can deal with very easily. I don't have a problem with alcohol. I could drink on the weekend and then not drink for 6, 8 months, 3 years, whatever. It doesn't matter. I don't care. It's been a few years right now since I've had a drink. But I smoke pot every day. I'm not a homosexual, but I curse and swear all the time. But I try to work on what sins I do. You know, I think that each of us has a particular sin that we're weaker to. Mine's drug abuse and womanizing. I got the woman thing under control at this point. Well, no, I don't. I've stopped doing it, but I never stopped thinking about it. So I don't have it under control. Even your imagination is a sin, right? So if you were to imagine somebody robs you, steals from you, treats you bad or whatever, and in your head you think about beating them up or killing them, or if you think about sleeping with your buddy's girlfriend or wife, anything like that, or husband, that's even a sin. Just the thought of it, not even the action. So we're going to be in sin. That's why we can't judge each other. Because no matter what, you're still in sin. It doesn't matter, right? Every one of us is in sin. We're all doing it in some form or another. We can help each other. Somebody could say to me, you know, you're in sin, you smoke too much pot or whatever, and, you know, you should work on that. Do you need help or whatever? And I would say, no, I don't need help, but yes, I understand it. I live in a lot of sin, and I'm working on other ones first, right? I'm going to enjoy that one as long as I can, I imagine. And we're expected to have some type of sin in our lives. I don't even watch TV. I don't have one. I don't live in a house. I don't subscribe to your society. There's a lot of sin that I've avoided and that I struggle with. And like I said, the sexual sins and all that kind of stuff. And so I'm hanging on to my weed. though I'm conscious of it all the time, and I feel bad about it because I'm a Christian. I don't like living in sin. It makes me feel dirty. I do it anyways. In this instance, I don't feel filthy. I just feel, I'm conscious of it being a sin and that I'm in sin, right? Other sins are more important, not drinking. Not manipulating people's minds. Womanizing. In other words, because when you do that, you're a manipulator. You have to be, because you can't be sincere about the relationship that you're talking about. You're just talking about it. It's just bullshit. So it's just not good. The homosexuality, it's a small sin. It's just like smoking weed or whatever. If it's your sin that you choose to be defeated in or whatever, or to not get out of right away, you're going to have to answer for it. God's going to ask you a question about it. In Judgment Day, he's going to say, why did you choose to live into that sin? And, you're going to have to say, whatever. Because I was weak. Is what I didn't have the strength to not live in that sin. And so it was what I chose to do. I'm sorry, Father. I know that this was your body, and I should have treated it with more respect. And just deal with my punishment, whatever it is. I don't know, but I'm always been willing to stand up to my punishments and always tell even when I was a kid and I wasn't a Christian, I still had morals and principles and standards. I was weird, really weird kid. But it's what my old man beat into me or whatever. Anyways, so I'd do things and get into major trouble, and when confronted about it, I'd man up right away. Not forever, obviously. When I got to be a teenager, I was a major liar for a long time, but then I didn't like that. I didn't like lying. I didn't like that I could lie to somebody right in their face, just like that, right? Look you right in the eye and just bullshit you. And I didn't think it was a becoming quality of a person, so I just avoided it whenever possible as I got older. Anyway. We all have it. We all live with it. We can all deal with our sins differently. It's just, we're going to have to come up with some sort of an answer. Be aware of that. If you're gay, and people make it such a big deal. Blah, big gay, blah, 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 right? Whatever. It's not a big deal. Christians shouldn't care, because they're sinners too. The only reason that it is mentioned in the Bible so much, well, it leads to infidelity, right? We look at it nowadays as being like an open monogamous relationship or whatever, but usually it isn't. It's a bunch of guys all being gross perverts and doing, disgusting things with each other. And having multiple partners, right? And that's the lifestyle that God doesn't want us to have. But if you're in like a monogamous gay relationship and you get to the gates and you have to answer for that and you tell God that you loved him, he's not going to punish you at all. Now, if you say, I loved him, but I just liked having all this pleasure with the other 200 men that I slept with or whatever, then obviously he's going to punish you for that. You're not going to have an answer for that. That's where, and in my case, it would be women, right? Like, I'm not going to have an answer for all of the number of women that I've slept with, other than I was ignorant. That's it, right? I grew past it, and that I hope that I hope that I proved that I was a better man in the later part of my life. That's going to be the answer for that, right? Like, because it was shit that I did, whatever. It was, and it wasn't like a disgusting number. I hadn't slept with 100 women or nothing like that, or even 50. Or really close to 50. And too close, anyway. So, just getting bogged down, and then into that homosexual sin, and now you got this LGBTQ movement that's happening, when the sin was already overly accepted, or not overly, but well accepted in our. It's like racism. Racism, to call somebody a racist is like the biggest insult that you could call somebody in our society or whatever. Like, and if you go overseas, it's a compliment. It's normal. If you're not a racist, you're weird, you know? That's the way. And if you go back in history, same deal, right? So this is brand new ground. Why are we destroying it? It was going so well. Just in my lifetime, when I was a kid in the 80s until now, or well, and in between, I guess, somewhere like 80s and throughout the 90s when I was a teenager, you know, to be gay was you were getting greased out and made fun of and blah blah, all that stuff, all those things that come along that you think that happens to gay people today. But it doesn't happen anymore. It's not that abuse isn't there in the high schools. It's actually praised and loved and nurtured nowadays more than straight kids. Some kids are going gay just to get attention and be nurtured because they're not getting attention otherwise. It's like the bully syndrome where you know, kids act up in order to get attention, even if it's negative attention. They don't care as long as it's attention. Same deal. You're getting kids turning gay or saying that they're gay. And then, well, that whole thing with they're going after kids, that's just another different topic altogether. But I mean, teenagers, puberty kids. And we could pick them out. You know, you knew who was going to be gay growing up. We well, for the most part, you know, you couldn't pick out the some of them, I guess, but you could pick out the obvious ones. You know what I mean? And sometimes we were probably wrong, right? I don't think Mark's gay, but you would have thought he was. He was lispy and really limp-wristed and had that S's in his talking and all that stuff. Hi guys, what's going on? Jeez, Jesus Christ. And he you know, he'd always talk like that. And I had teachers that talk like that. Tony and then I should say their names, you know, whatever. Anyways, and Tony at least, he was picked on by my parents when they went to school together because he had that lisp and he talked and he walked like that and he did all that stuff. Geez, oh hello, and he was the gayest guy ever. It was funny. Anyway, but he wasn't gay. He had a wife. He had kids. He was straight. Oh wow, who knows? You know what I mean? He might have had a secret life. But even Sean, growing up, was junior high. He got picked on a bit, I'm sure, quite a bit, right? But then he clicked with all the girls, and he ended up just becoming one of the girls. And I didn't pick on him. I don't know, whatever. I was his neighbor years later, and he is gay for sure, but he's I don't think his life was that horrible. Not as horrible as it would have been 10 years before that, or even 4 years before that. My older sister, if you were to have been that gay with her generation, you'd have gotten like physically beaten up all the time. Right? And then with my generation, 4 years later, we just picked on them and kind of called them out, poked at them, made fun of them. But we picked on everybody. I did, whatever. Not picked on everybody, but I made fun of, razzed everybody, joked around, whatever. And a gay thing's easy to make fun of. You know, it's fun. And so I used to be really good at doing the gay thing, doing the voice and stuff like that. But you had to stop doing it because it became it wasn't funny anymore. People freaking got insulted by it. And then so out of respect, we all stopped doing that shit. Got to the point now you can't even say the fun words, where I think we should just change the definition of those words. Like faggot. Faggot has been changed its definition throughout history in order to meet the times forever, because it's a fun word, right? It means cigarette. It means a bundle of wood, an awkward bundle of wood. And it means gay person for a while. And now South Park and stuff, we're trying to change it to they're trying to change it to meaning people who drive Harley Davidsons, because they're loud and obnoxious for no other reason than being loud and obnoxious. And, you know, you having a nice Sunday, trying to enjoy your day in the park or whatever, and this guy needs to buy the loudest, most obnoxious bike in the world in order to show off that he could buy that bike, and blats through and ruins everybody's nice, quiet, peaceful day. You know, if you're sitting there watching the birds sing or whatever, and then you get Harley coming in, blah, 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 you know. You gotta watch the South Park. It's a really good episode. And it makes a lot of sense. But those words are just fun. The Q word, that was another really fun word to say. So we could change that definition. For sure. Just to somebody who's, well, we could make it liberals, for that matter. If you're like a burn a city kind of liberal. Burn a city to prove your point or whatever. I'm going to burn it down to burn my business to protest you guys not using my business. Or whatever. Like, the logic's just messed on those people. So you could call them the Q word, and it would not be fun. Again, we could all start playing with these words again and having fun with them. Because it was fun to say them. They were fun to use. And especially when you could tag them to an impression. And you could tag them to the biker impression. You know, that Harley driving guy thinks he's tough and got to show off that he could afford the Harley or whatever. And wants everybody to look at him all the time, like a teenage girl. We could definitely pick one. Pick a little big man syndrome. Or, there you go, you could start with the little big man syndrome, right? Where we got Tony Fauci. He's like the epitome of the little big man syndrome. I am the science. Can't question me, Tony Fauci. It's really the epitome of it. I worked for a guy, and there was actually 3 Chucks. He was one of them. We're all working together. Me. And so I went to him because I was like the lead carpenter. He was the lead carpenter. I was just under him, whatever. I said, so what are we doing today? And he says, the Chuck says this, the Chuck says that, the Chuck says this. I said, okay, that sounds like a good plan. Why the hell did you ask Chuck? And which Chuck are you talking about or whatever, right? Like, what the fuck? I'm the Chuck, he says. And he was, I don't know if he was 5'6", maybe. But he pumped right up. And, you know, he was ripped up and everything. He used to wear the muscle shirts to work. And, like, it was snowing out. He'd be wearing a muscle shirt, running around the job site. But then he'd be going to the truck, starting the truck up, and he'd sit in there and warm up. Oh, God rest his soul. He drinking and driving and put himself over a cliff. Died there a couple of years back. I'm lucky I never did that. That was one of my sins. Speaking of sins, I'll tell you, I used to drink and drive big time. It's one of the reasons I don't drink. One of the reasons that I don't drink anymore, because I enjoy drinking and driving. And when we were kids, young teenagers, we used to buy old cars, take them out into the woods, excuse me, and you could drink and drive out there all day. We'd get boats, and we'd take them out in the river, and you could drink and drive out there all day. So it was just, back then, for us, it was just normal. Everybody did it. And, coming out of the 80s and into the 90s, we were that generation where they were, you know, the cops started to really try to break us. Mothers against drunk driving, all that kind of stuff. But, fuck, we were good at it. I stayed responsible for the most part, drinking and driving back then when it was thought, you know what I mean? You'd have maybe a 6-pack or whatever out with you in the trail, and by the time you got a 6-pack into you over the day or whatever, a Canadian 6-pack, you get a little buzz on. So, and when you'd shut her down and go have a campfire or go do something else, right? Finish your case, but you up to that point, we were pretty safe, and we were out in the backwoods, and dirt roads where nobody else was, so ATC trails and stuff like that. So it wasn't, it wasn't safe. I was jumping cars over hills and stuff, Dukes of Hazzard style, like a fucking little tyrant. It was fun as shit, though. So, and there were big straightaways, and we'd set it up. You know, I'd have like the guys be at the jump, parked on the side road, so that they could see way down and up, and I could see them from the top of the hill, and it'd be a big straight hill. And then you hit the jump in the center, see if you could get the wheels off the ground. My Ford Tempo. Yeah, you know, did all kinds of stupid shit. But yeah, drinking, driving, sin. It's all. At that point, I wouldn't even have considered that kind of drinking and driving. I wouldn't have thought of really as even a sin. Because you're not really hurting anybody else. Now, my parents, same deal. I can remember in the 80s and stuff, where they'd all pack up in a van or a car or whatever, and they'd drive to one of the little liquor stores on a Sunday, like out of town, and then they'd do a big loop all around the back roads and through towns and stuff like that. And they'd just drink and drive all day, and they'd come back and they'd all be drunk. I mean, that was normal. Everybody did that shit. Or whatever. Everybody I knew. I don't know. And the driver would always be sober, but have a few beer. Just like I was saying. Over the day, yeah, they drank. They probably had a nice little buzz on. But they weren't drunk. They weren't doing the one eye blinking, because I've been there. Shake your head, roll the window down. Ugh, hate that. Hated that. That was the worst. That's why I had to quit drinking. When you're driving to go to the bars because nobody else is partying right. So you say, oh, fuck this, I'm going to the bar. And you jump in the car and fuck off. 25-minute drive to the city on the highway. And you're one-eyed and blinking and doing all those tricks. That's crazy. I can remember waking up at an exit in the passenger seat and said to my buddy driving, fuck man, you made it all the way to the exit. Awesome. I'm sorry I fell asleep on you. And he went, huh? And woke up. Oh shit, we were here. He fell asleep right after I did. That was like an hour drive that night. I don't even know. I think God drove the car. Way back 20 years ago. But see, that was sinful because we were putting people into risk, putting ourselves at risk, everything about it, and lobbing your body with that much alcohol is a sin too. You're just destroying it's God's. It's not yours. You're in like a rental to see if you can do it. It's like your old man gave you the beater car to see if you take good enough care of the beater car to get a good car. You're going to fuck up a little. Of course you are. That's why he gave you the beater car. Accidents happen. You're young. You're going to do stupid shit to have to learn. Experience of failure. No, experience is the word given to our failures. So you have to fail, at least a little, in order to learn, right? We can't learn everything from a book or from other people's experience. You got to go out and experience some life yourself and then learn that way, and then go back and refer back to the books once you've got something under your belt. Probably why our school system's such a failure. Probably should be a big 2-year pause in there after grade 6 where you go work for 2 years wherever, farms and shit like that, and then go back to the classroom and learn some more stuff. And I'll tell you, kids would be a lot more attentive and want to learn a lot more if you were out. You had to actually work for minimal amounts of money and see how you felt getting home from work every night, and how your body felt and how sore you were, and how mundane and shitty some of them types of jobs are. Or alternatively, somebody like me might love some of those jobs. Like you know, I don't know. I like physical stuff, and I like running equipment and stuff like that, and building things and whatever. There's a lot of satisfaction in a job well done too, right? So if these kids at that age were helping you to like build a house or a barn or a whatever, they're gonna benefit from that greatly. Like they're gonna see something that they did, that they accomplished, that's gonna benefit people and benefit the world, and they can go there forever and say, I built that when they're, their own kids down the road, whatever, right? There's a lot to that. There's a lot to be said there. A lot of people don't have that experience ever in their life of seeing. I, as a tradesperson, hardly drive down a street around here that I haven't worked on a house. So I don't even do it anymore. Oh, I built there, I worked that. Unless I built it from scratch, right to finish, and then I'll point those houses out because I like them ones. Or if it's like, I worked on the extension to that hospital or something like that, then that's pretty cool too because it's so huge or whatever, right? Such a huge undertaking to be a part of. That was cool-ish, depending on what you were doing. Like there's some guys that were just scaffolders or whatever. I put hung all the doors and hung like the stethoscopes and stuff on the wall and the little things they put in your ear and all that shit and the curtains. And a bunch of other stuff. Worked on the roof, did a bunch of fire caulking, a bunch of safety doors and shit in the in-between floors and stuff. That was a fun job. Did a lot of hide and seek. Well, not a lot. I don't do well at that. But I tried. Gold darn it. Gold darn it! No good at hide and seek. What did they used to say? The old man always said when he worked for the union. Yeah, it's hide and seek for $2,400 a week. Yeah, funny. If you carry a board around with you everywhere you go, a 2x4, he said, I'd carry the same 2x4 for weeks. And they'd say, that Alan, he's always going around, he's busy. I see him all the time. He said, all the white hats would say, he's always busy, always going with something in his hand. And the same board, I just carried it around every day. I can't do that shit. When I did the mill work, my foremen would get mad at me and be like, you're fucking done? What do you mean? You're working yourself out of a job. Go fuck around. Don't come back here already. Stop fucking finishing things that quick. Make them take you some time. God damn it, man. Walk around. I'm just no good at that. I'm learning. Working with my buddies and stuff, but whatever. I'm still no good at it. So yeah, we're getting bogged down in our stupid, petty... Oh, look at that. I'm almost done. I'm over the half-hour mark. We're getting bogged down in our stupid pettiness over sins. And it's a big waste. I'll tell you that.